Welcome, Pulling fans. It is Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time. Time for Outlawed Live, talking anything and everything outlaw truck and tractor pulling. My name is Ron Stone with my cohort, Mike Eitel. Mike, how we doing, buddy?
Hey, doing awesome. You know, Ron, getting home, the dust is kind of settling and getting back in from the National Farm Machinery Show. And I just had the first chance to look down the list of picks that you and I did the last time we were on the show together before the farm show. You know, I kind of thought we got our butt kicked. We were closer than we thought. And I don't know if you realize this. You were almost perfect Saturday afternoon. Your Saturday afternoon session, you almost picked 4 winners that session. So,
no way.
Yeah, you picked your picks. You had Kong and the Super Stock Diesel 4-wheel drives. Well, had some hitch issues. Yep. You picked the Forgiven tractor and the Light Pro, which he made a really strong run. He was top 3, I want to say. And then you picked Alter Ego and Workhorse. So you had 2 winners right there. No, I was looking at head-to-head. Some of them I snuck away with. Some of them you snuck away with. But we were in the ballpark more often than we were missing the mark.
Good deal. Good deal. Yeah, it was, man, you know, all those sessions, but they went by pretty darn quick last week. Hard to believe I was headed to the Farm Machinery Show a week ago tonight.
Yeah.
So, Outlaws did a great job. Didn't finish up in the finals, some classes like we hoped. Of course, Wednesday night, 4-wheel drive night, Mike, you missed it. You missed the door slammers. And, of course, Outlaw 4-wheel drives went 2, 3, and 4, not too shabby. 2-wheel drive, Mindy Nelson Brown, of course, won her qualifier. Had some engine troubles on Saturday night in the finals. Big burst of flame and rods hanging out of the bottom end of that motor, but she did a great job as usual there. Cole Zychek was a great show. Packed house Friday and Saturday night. Had a good time.
The emotions as an Outlaw fan and an announcer and a liaison, I felt like we were kind of swinging a pendulum back and forth all week. We come out really strong in the very first class, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in the 4-wheel drives. And then our mod guys come up and, you know, Donald makes a beautiful pass, one of the best passes we see, falls out of bounds. Cameron's not where he wants to be. So we kind of swing back in this direction. You know, Thursday night was kind of a pull of attrition for us. But then Friday night, we've got David Novak getting into the finals. We've got Mindy and Cole going 1 and 2. Is there really a more... I'm sure there is, but I would have to say Mindy and Cole are as iconic at Freedom Hall in the 2-wheel drive division as anybody out there. Those 2 trucks just repeatedly have so much good success out there. So then you're back up on top of the world. And then Saturday night finals, it's just a testament to how hard it is to walk away victorious in that whole thing. So, rooting for the Outlaws had us swinging back and forth and all over the place. One thing I thought about on the way home, great job to some of our rookie drivers. We had more rookies than we kind of realized. Of course, we had the veterans like Mindy and Cole, but also rookies like Derek Brown, Tanner Fitzsimmons, Jared Johansson. And I thought those rookies made solid A to B passes and represented us incredibly well. They were very classy, beautiful equipment. And all I can say is great job, guys.
Yeah, of course, Derek Brown, You're speaking it to the rookie of the
National Farm Machinery Show. Rookie in the sense of I stole that term from Dan and Miles. I heard Dan and Miles referring to them as rookie drivers, so I said, okay, rookies, first-time farm show competitors.
And this would, speaking of Dan and Miles, this would be the announcer show where we bring Dan and Miles on. We always invite the three announcers from Louisville, Dan and Miles and Leslie. Leslie hasn't been on the show to this point, but Dan and Miles have been on the last 2 or 3 years. And Dan had some vocal issues on Saturday night, lost his voice. And if you didn't notice, you heard Leslie kind of picking up the slack there when we weren't hearing Dan. And I think I've mentioned to you a couple times, Mike, I said, something's going on. Dan's not talking.
Yeah. We both picked up on that. And I thought Leslie works her tail off. She's all over the place. She's top row, bottom row, getting the inside scoop. And then I thought Miles, and it's no secret, you're the best in the business when you're announcing there. But Miles carrying the back half of that show as kind of a solo pull-by-pull announcer. And I was able to listen to some of his work, and I thought just a really, really great job that he did, knowing that his best friend and partner, that's how it goes. You got to lean on your other guy sometimes, and Miles didn't miss a stride, was just a professional and excellent announcer that he always is.
So in saying that, that's the guys aren't going to be coming on tonight. We're going to give Dan a week to get his voice back here, not put any undue stress on the old voice box. I've been right there. I know what it's like. I lost my voice last summer. I had something going on one of my vocal cords, and it needed rest. Not as much. I didn't get as much rest as my doctor told me I needed to take, but I did try to calm down and not get too excited on the mic and such over the summer. But eventually, the issue, with some medicine and things, it healed itself. So I'm good to go for 2026 here. But next week we will have the announcer show on, and we're going to try to stump Dan, as been doing each year as well. It's kind of become kind of a ritual when he comes on the show. When we try to stump him. Of course, Dan, it's kind of a historian of the sport. It's hard to stump him, so it's kind of fun to throw up a random pick and see if he can figure out who it is and when and where it was taken.
I took a creative route this year, Ron. You showed me a lot of your Pulling Power magazines, and it got me to really thinking, and I was flipping through some of my old Puller magazines. So Dan, he can name any tractor anywhere. Can he recognize drivers outside of the fire suits? So I started flipping through and found some pictures of drivers away from the tractor. So I'm going to take a little bit different of a route. I stole some photos out of the Puller magazine. We're going to see if he can recognize the drivers just as well as the puller. So that'll be fun next week when we have our little trivia match with the announcers there.
Marty Samuelson said they had a full house at the golf course in Ravenna, Nebraska, Thursday night, watching Gary Barrett. Congratulations to Dave Novak making it. Finals in the limited pro stock class as well. He had a great pass. Even had to get on the right brake a little bit, but he got over there, I think, in some really good dirt and got in the finals there on Friday night for the Saturday show. So Outlaws did a great job all the way around. We would have had 3 super farms in the mix there at the farm show, but the Roberts family, the Spanky's toy tractor, broke a crankshaft on the dyno shortly before. They were supposed to go to the farm machinery show, so we had 2 super farms competing. So Charles Jones, Cole is my good friend, and his dad. Cole did a great job. Chris Kilbarger from Groveport, Ohio, checking in. Andrew Sprock. My money was on Cole. By the way, condolences, Andrew, on the passing of your father. Condolences to you and your family, buddy. I know it's something you've been expecting, but no matter how much prepare yourself for it, there's no preparation on the planet that can prepare you for that. So prayers are out there with you, my friend, as well as Blake Ott out there. Blake Ott, we haven't talked about that a whole lot. And, when somebody passes, we are very respectful to that family. Some families don't like to make a huge deal of it. Some of them don't like, everyone seeing what's going on. But as soon as we find out it's okay, we definitely want to pass on our condolences. Also, to Tanner Michael there in Unionville, Missouri. Yeah. Lost his mother here a couple of weeks ago. So not a fun part of the show when you have to say things like, the condolences and things like that, but it's all part of life, folks.
Yeah, and in the same breath, though, the outlaw family, that's a word that gets thrown around a lot, and it's true. So we always want to make sure that these pullers and fans and whatever your role is know that, we believe in you, we support in you, and we're here for you. So, yep, all of those going through some tough times out there, and our thoughts are with them, no doubt about that.
Let's try to get to some of these comments here. Ben Beller checking in from Kansas. South Dakota, Hamboys Racing Toys. Had the pleasure to watch Friday night session with the legend, Mr. Ulmer from Minnow, South Dakota. Mark Ulmer there.
He'd be a fun one to watch it with, no doubt about it.
Now, let's see. Beller says, favorite part of the poll was watching Derek Brown sweat it out in victory corner up there just to be knocked out by Thumper. The brothers finished 2 and 3, and High Class Grass was bumped into the 4th spot behind the brothers there. Russ Dostal. Why aren't there start times on the schedule for winter? Just be patient. Be patient, Russ. We put a schedule out there because everybody's clamoring for a schedule. We try to put a schedule out so people get a good idea, but expect some changes on that schedule because there's a lot of moving pieces. It's been a long off season, a lot of changes coming down the pike this off season. So just be patient, and we'll get those start times in there as well as some class changes and things like that. Because I assure you there will be some changes to that schedule. So in saying that, let me go ahead and put it up here. Like I said, expect some changes here. Of course, starting out in Ravenna, Nebraska, that may not even be the first pull. There may be a change there. Talking to some potential pulls here even today. We may be pulling that first weekend of June. So Cambridge, Illinois, Rushville, Illinois on the same weekend there as Mound City, Missouri, Norfolk, Nebraska, Colbert, Oklahoma, Seward, Nebraska, the 4th of July celebration out there in Seward. They say there's tons of folks out there. Concord, Nebraska, Ottawa, Nebraska, and Rock Valley all in the same week there. Lee, Nebraska. Macon, Missouri, that's another one. Not sure if we're going to get that one or not, but our mods may hook there one time. That's why that's on the schedule. Warrensburg the next night on July 18th. Pawnee City and David City, Nebraska, as well as Warrensburg, Missouri on the same night. Taylorville, Illinois, Montgomery City, Missouri, and Waterloo, Illinois. A 3-night run there for those 3 running similar classes. Pierce, Nebraska, Wayne, Nebraska, Platte City, Missouri. That's another one. Not sure. We don't have a contract back on that one. Britt, Iowa, Wednesday night pulls. Scribner, Nebraska, and Sac City, both Thursday nights. Mercer, Missouri on a Friday, July 31st. Lamar's, Iowa, and McLouth, Kansas on the 1st of August. Mound City, Kansas, and Neely, Nebraska. A new one there on August the 2nd. That's a Sunday hook. Weeping Water, West Point, and Mobile, August 6th, 7th, and 8th. Then you got the 7th and 8th in De Leon, Texas, the 7th and 8th in Washington, Missouri. Very busy pulling weekend. NTPA is pulling the North Iowa Nationals there in Rockwell, Iowa that weekend. Gibbon, Nebraska, Coffeyville, Kansas, a new one on the schedule this year on the Friday, August the 14th. August the 19th. One day for the Iowa State Fair this year, going from 2 to 1. More classes, but going one day. Then Wisner, Nebraska, that 3-night run, Thursday, Friday, Saturday there, the 20th through the 22nd. Madison, South Dakota, the 29th of August. September 5th and 6th, Bedford, Iowa, and Diagonal, Iowa. Diagonal being a new one on the schedule there. And, of course, Bedford moving their date. Then on the 7th, on Monday, Labor Day weekend, Huron, South Dakota, the Great South Dakota State Fair. September 11th, Unionville, Missouri. The 12th at Buckner, Missouri. The 19th, a Saturday night show in Spencer, Iowa, the Clay County Fair. And then October 16th and 17th at Dragon and Pulling in the Pines in Lufkin, Texas. So that is the schedule. And I will tell you right now, it is still tentative. Some of them are locked in on dates. There still might be some class changes. A couple of dates may change. There may be one drop off, maybe one be added. So just stay tuned. We will keep you posted on the Facebook page as well as the Outlaw webpage.
Ron, I've got a question for you. When you look at that schedule, is there a pull, like when you pull that up there and you just kind of glance at it, and I'm sure you glance at it every hour, probably. This is very much, burning a hole in your back pocket right now.
In front of my face most of the day.
But when you glance at that, is there a pull that kind of just, hovers off the page to you that you as an announcer look at and say, you know what, that's a pull that I think can do big things, or that's a pull that, has been trending in the right direction, or that's a pull that I just, Ron Stone, like going to? Are there any that just kind of, hover a little bit right there as something that, might be interesting for the fans in 2026?
Yeah, I don't want to pick out any particular pull in general and slight anybody here. I want to give some credit to Lacey Wager, the Wager family, for picking up the pieces after Whitewright goes away there. And they're moving that pull to Colbert, Oklahoma. They're getting some scrutiny over that event, but I guarantee you the Wagers are going to do a top-notch event.
Yep.
No pun intended there. But he said he wants to make it the best event possible. They want to give more money to pullers. They have a 30-minute fireworks show after each night of pulling. They're giving away bicycles and doing some other things for the community. And he's spending a ton of money. So if you're not a promoter, if you've never been in a promoter's shoes, keep those comments, those critical comments to yourself. Because promoters take the risk out there. The Outlaw organization, we don't take the risk. We're contracted to do a show, and we get paid. The pullers take a risk, and the promoters take a big risk. So go easy on the promoters out there when you're talking about ticket prices and things like that.
That being said, Colbert, Oklahoma, definitely one that's going to stand out on the schedule. As Lacey's one of those guys. You just tell by his equipment and the way he handles himself, he doesn't do anything halfway. So you can pretty well bank that that's going to be a top tier pulling event. That's going to be fun. It's fun to go back to the state of Oklahoma, place we haven't been in a couple of years too.
Let's just get back to the comments here. Andrew Sprock, you bet, buddy, you bet. Hope to see you out on the pulling circuit this summer. Marty Samuelson, now in June, hopefully 2 nights. Pulling this year. Marty's talking about Ravenna that has last few years, let's see, 3 years ago was completely rained out. Year before last, we got 1 night of pulling in of a 2-night show. And last year we got 1 night of pulling on a 2-night show. So we pulled 2 nights out of potentially 6 total sessions there the last 3 years. So Mother Nature hasn't been very kind to us there.
But it is bumped back a weekend this year, if I look at that schedule correct. So maybe those weather patterns.
Second weekend of June. And hopefully we can – I don't know about the weather patterns, but it's always snuck up on us out there.
Yeah.
Kevin Davis, who walked the most steps? I kind of forgot all about that, didn't you, Mike?
We were about, I tell you what, Ron, we were kind of stride for, there wasn't a ton of scenarios where we weren't relatively in the same area at the same time. So, I know kind of on Friday or Saturday, some of us went off on the farm show and checked it out on our own a little bit, but you were there a day before me too. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I know on Saturday, I tried to walk the entire exhibition floor, which is quite the task, honestly, to do. There's so much there and so much to cover that I don't know how it's possible, but my feet are still sore, I think, from walking there. So I don't know, Kevin. We'll call it a draw. How about that?
Well, you know what? I think we might have to give it to you just by the sheer fact that I was not very tough when it came to staying up into the important, let's call them the important hours, where the real conversations happen and whatnot. I was kind of beeline from pull to bed every night, whereas you did a much better job of networking, in the important hours. So
Kyle had his late night hat on. He was doing some.
That's what I heard. I heard he stayed up later than you did on Saturday night, Sunday morning. So
he surely did. Yeah. He stayed up later than I was ready for bed. So.
Oh man, good times had by all.
Shout out to Lane Thornton for being featured in Race Engine Technology magazine. Had the pleasure of playing some photos. I saw that. That's a cool deal. That was the European magazine I think you were talking about. Just saw that on Facebook a little while ago. Good job on that. Mark M had some pictures featured in that European magazine there from some outlaw pulling here. So great job. Ben Beller, excited to get another pull in Kansas, coming back to Coffeyville. That's a co-sanctioned show with the Outlaws and the Missouri State Tractor Pullers Association. So Andrew Sprock says he's looking forward to coming back to McLeod, Kansas. Kathy Wendling says looking forward to the Illinois polls, kind of close to Eastern Iowa. So, cool deal. Got 4 hooks in Illinois this year. Possibly more next year, Mike. Got some other calls that said maybe not 2026, but 2027.
Really impressive what credit to our drivers, credit to you and Kyle and just the Outlaw Association, what we're kind of doing. The first year I came on with the Outlaws, or first 2 years I was with the Outlaws, we didn't cross the Mississippi River. We didn't even really get, east over into my territory too much. Then we kind of get across the river a little bit last year. Now all of a sudden it seems like Illinois is certainly a place where we are comfortably, not just kind of testing the waters, but comfortably expanding into, while simultaneously continuing our expansion into Kansas and Oklahoma. So we're kind of growing in both directions or reclaiming territory back out in the West. So really, really neat to see how comfortable it is. And I love to see fans like, I'll put this one back up here, like Kathy saying, that is close to Eastern Iowa. I love that we have fans that are like, hey, that's near our area. We see what you're doing. We want to go see it in person. So that they're enjoying it. That's kind of the 2 thumbs up right there. So neat things going on over there in Illinois right now.
I want to send condolences out also to the Jim Scheffler family. Jim Scheffler's father passed away last week at the age of 94. So I want to send condolences out to that family as well. So, Kathy went. She says they have a couple of 2-wheel drives.
Even better. Even more important.
Zook Fukerberg tuning in tonight. Says hello, gents. So, what was your favorite part of the farm show this year? Let's get
let's do some analyzing and look at it. I don't know that I had a favorite part. Like I said, my emotions went back and forth because it felt like the Outlaws were punching uphill and then big success. We were on a lot of hero or zero moves, that felt like. But I would say for me, the highlight, if not the emotion on Dave Novak's face after watching him make it into the finals from Friday, I would say as a person, as a friend, that was my favorite part. But as a pulling fan and as an announcer, watching Mindy and Cole go 1 and 2 and kind of just replant that flag that says these 2 trucks, the state of Texas, the Outlaws, 2-wheel drives, Freedom Hall, this is kind of our territory. And that really was a good feeling. Not to take away from anyone, because we saw how tough it was to win on Saturday night. Saturday night went to a regional puller, NTPA regional puller with the win. But watching those 2 side by side on Friday kind of plant that flag out there, that was a feather in the cap for me representing the home team.
Let's check out here. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I think we actually only have 5 classes scheduled at Montgomery City right now. That could change, but I think right now that is true. That Outlaws have 5 classes scheduled. So still some moving pieces out there, folks. Still some moving pieces. So don't get too excited just yet. So what was your favorite part of the farm show? Go ahead and send a message in there, type it in there, and we'll put it up on the screen. Jeremy Tyndall's saying hello from North Carolina, land of the Tar Heels there. We had a new guy on here, Jason Bittinger, checking in. He's a sound guy. Going to be working with him down in going down to the NTPA pulls on the Southern Swing. Going to be helping out Full Pull Live down there on that Southern Swing in Zellwood, Florida, and also in Satsuma, Florida. So Jason Bittinger going to be running sound down there. So shout out to him.
Ron, give us your breakdown while we're waiting on the fans to kind of submit their replies. I know I jumped in there with mine. What were some of your highlights or big takeaways, or what occupied your thoughts on the long drive home on Sunday afternoon?
You know what I love about the farm show, or not just necessarily the farm show, but any big pull, any time that somebody wins something big like a points championship, or even a pull like say Rock Valley or Wisner, they get the Rock or the Thunderbolt Award. It's cool to see the emotion.
Yeah.
Some of these guys that, they may seem gruff and they seem like tough guys. Yeah. And they get up there and they get that microphone in their face and they got family all around them and they can't stop it, man. It's the waterworks coming and you got to love it because they're human, but the blood, sweat and tears, the time and energy and money that's gone into these vehicles. It's a lifestyle, and for them to be up on that big stage, and have that appreciation for their hard work, it's cool to see the realism, the emotion that I had to give. I got to call out Dave Novak. He got up there and I could tell, and I was actually videoing the big screen with my phone so he could see it. I could tell he got a little misty eyed down there. So just cool to see that.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, it means a lot, and they say it's important to win or do well anywhere, but at that place where it's a little extra, it is a lot of fun to watch them. Like you said, it means more, that little extra out there.
Marty says it didn't seem like as many hit the sand. Well, I think it was just about the right mix. You don't want to see tons of them hitting the sand and then not having a pull off. Then you got some controversy. I think you did a pretty good job on sled settings.
So here's my response to Marty Samuelson's comment. Not as many did hit the sand. I would agree, and I would give that 2 thumbs up. It almost felt like last year, 2025, we were getting to the point where it was almost expected to where it would almost put a guy at a disadvantage, especially in the pro stocks. You knew one of the first 3 was just going to not kind of kiss it, but just plow through it, and you potentially hurt something. You unload the back hitch. They're going to reset the sled. They had them reined in really nicely this year. There were still sled resets. It's tricky indoors. But, yeah, we didn't have that just, 10 guys every night just busting barriers. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Another thing I took away from it, too, was mod tractors, the 4-engine tractors ruled.
Absolutely.
Donald Nelson's Bullbuster put on a phenomenal pass. I think he would have ended up 4th. He would have been in the finals there. And we're talking that much. Back tire got in that chalk. Just that shoulder of the tire got in that chalk for just an instant. And that 300-foot flagman caught it and ruled him out of bounds, disqualified him. But hard to beat those 4-engine tractors, man. It's hard to beat them. And Donald was hanging with them. Would have been cool to see him in the finals, but we'll see what he could have done. But next year.
Yep. Yeah, the balance on his run was absolutely perfect. The way he had that tractor set up and weighted. That track from home looked tricky this year. It looked like, because we saw some savvy veterans, Donald wasn't the only one. We also saw Wayne Sullivan, kind of slide off out of bounds quickly. We saw Bill Leichner kind of get bested, basically. I wondered if there was a little bit more of a crown or even a little bit more of a hook in that track than typical this year, or if that's just mod pulling them. When that chassis gets flexing and you don't want to get out of the throttle, it is what it is, and sometimes you end up on the wrong side of the white line.
Chris Pierce asking if it's too early to talk about the Pullers Champ. Well, no, it's not too early. Absolutely not. You have your picks for that. I'm going to wait a little bit, but no, it's not too early. I noticed a lot of California.
Tons of tractors. So I always thought about it like it's a great place to showcase the 7400 Outlaw mods, or what some people are calling the Outlaw ITPA mods. And what we do kind of forget about is that the out west, but the MLM Motorsports and a couple other groups out there run pretty well identical rules in that class as well. So they're bringing a lot of their guys into a class that's already growing, and we're going to see some new iron out there, as well as a whole. Ron, is it a smattering, a slew, or a drove of 4-wheel drive trucks? I mean, they are bringing just a whole A whole bunch of them. Yeah. And the other thing that's interesting, going back to Donald has 3 mod. If I read the list right, it looked like all 3 of his mod tractors did get voted in. Now, is that just a fan vote, or does that tell me that Donald's got all 3 of them ready? Well, we see all 3 of them there because I know that the bullwhip has been a little elusive over the past season or so. So would be kind of cool to see if Donald can get all 3 of them stuffed in a trailer into one event at the same time.
Yeah, we'll see. I think what they have now, I think the fan vote are those the ones that are actually in what we're seeing now, those lists that were put up officially by TPC?
Yeah. That's how I understood it, that is the results, that's the fan votes. But then that's still always the way my understanding or my experience with TPC is, at the end of the day, that is still a little tentative, because if a guy breaks on the dyno or if a guy finds something and he can't be there, then, you go to the next one voted in. So you can never say 1,000,000% certain that that's how it's going to be, but on paper, that's how it's going to be. And it'd be cool. I haven't seen Donald haul all 3 mods yet. I would like to see that. I don't know of any other puller that I know of that's had 3 mods at the same time. Maybe the Walshes. I guess the Walshes take a bunch of turbines everywhere they go, but it'd be kind of neat to see how he's going to do that.
You described it right when you said elusive. That Texas bullwhip tractor, that single DT 466 on alcohol turbocharged. I think he's had trouble keeping it going here last few years, but I think it's his favorite tractor, honestly.
That's his baby. That's what I talked to another puller in the class, and he said, well, Dustin can drive this tractor sometimes, or he might let someone else drive, the Buster, the Twisted Whip or something. He said, but Texas bullwhip, that's Donald's baby, is the way it was described by another Texas puller. So.
Jeremy says, check out Joe Ader Coney Island restaurant if it's close to either place.
I've heard of this.
Florida. We'll keep that in mind, Jeremy. Appreciate that. Jeremy Griner made an observation, said lots of oil dry laid down. That is true. That is true.
Whoever the oil dry provider was, and someone told me it was John Link. It was his company. I think he's like the oil dry guy. But good year for him. He moved a lot of product.
Yeah, they're putting it all on the line there. You're at the Super Bowl and you're gonna put it all out there, leave it all out on the track. Sometimes literally, we've seen lots of internal components being picked up off the track this year. Ben Biller making the observation. Wayne Sullivan, suffered this year, had some problems. Lots of experience in that name, Wayne Sullivan, to pulling forever. Chris Pierce. Heavy hitters in the mods. Yep. Mods were a great class. Jeremy Tyndall ready for the Mid-America Truck Show. We'll be in Florida, man. We're going to be down in Florida at Zellwood for the Southern Sweep during that truck show.
Ron,
so maybe put the live stream on. Go to Full Pull Live so you can watch us down there when you're at the truck show. How about that?
You keep saying we, and I appreciate that. That's nice, but I know that you're letting me tag along to Florida, so that's more of a Ron's going to Florida. Mike's got to stay up here and continue with the teaching job. So
there's no I in team, Mike. So I like to say we when we're going to.
Well, you enjoy Florida for us then.
Will do. Case Conover checking in from Lytle, Texas. Case, what were you doing over the weekend? I kept seeing you kept putting pictures up of some arena somewhere where they were laying dirt down, and it was not Freedom Hall. So he was at some kind of motorsports event, I'm thinking, down in Texas. Those lists are very close to 100% per yesterday's show, talking about TPC. Harrison Lane. Shout out to the Mean Farmer for making the 4-1 finals 2 years in a row at the National Farm Machinery Show. I agree with that. Second that. Pool Party HQ said he's still alive and kicking. Mike. So yeah, he'll be on here for a while. So.
Well, he's under a new alias again too. I noticed that's he likes to change it up from time to time. But no, glad that he's watching again and. Are you drinking your Infinity whiskey or whatever you call it? So I know that you're counting down to your big pull out there, but hope you're having a great time. Hope everything is well.
in Beller, are any other Outlaws going to the truck show? I heard Sweet Pain is in. I think, Ben, I think Cotton Candy's going.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Cotton Candy's going. And I think maybe Donald, maybe one or two of his tractors are going. I'm not 100% sure. But, yeah, it's cool. It actually makes you feel pretty good to know that other organizations and other groups are recognizing the Outlaw 7400 mod tractors all around the country.
It's good to point out, too, and like Ron's saying, and I hope everyone kind of takes a moment to realize this, these guys are not going in. When they pull at Louisville, as our Outlaw fans know, when they pull at Louisville or they pull at the National Farm Machinery Show, they're going with their alternative setup. They don't run that third motor all year long. But at the truck show, a separate association has asked for the Outlaw mod class, not a class they typically offer under the 7400 Outlaw mod rules. So you'll see these guys running at Louisville with their day in, day out setup. That's going to be fun to see. Okay, now that it's their tried and true, their bread and butter, what do they do with that? Also, really cool to see Sweet Pain pulling at Freedom Hall. Olmers, if you're watching, has it pulled there before? When was the last time it pulled there? Regardless of the moniker, what name you're pulling under, whether it be the Matt's Truck Show or National Farm Machinery Show, has Sweet Pain pulled at Freedom Hall before? Surely it has. Either way, it's great to see it pulling there here very soon.
Yeah, very cool. And as well, they're got accepted into the Pullers Championship. Fan votes got the Pullers Championship as well. So Fukerberg seconding that. John Link's business did a great job at the pro stock class. He pulled with Texas Tractor Pullers for years ago. Good dude. That was cool to see. Texas did real well in that pro stock final that had two Texas guys up there, 1 and 2. Conley Medding doing a great job there in his qualifier as well.
Yeah, glad to see both those guys. And, I was told that the Virginian, which is, I think, I don't know that a lot changed on that tractor, that was his Revelation Pro, essentially, maybe with just some new window dressing on it. Could be wrong there. Either way, great to see him finding something in there, finding the onion and giving it the beans, and in a pull-off style. That was an entertaining Wednesday night session all the way around. Was fun to watch. But John Link was one of those sub-stories that people were following, I think, the whole farm show long. That tractor's beautiful the way he's got it done now with the cool, I like the name, the Virginian. I think that's neat. Like the old mod 4x4 truck and the beautiful blue on the side. It's a good-looking piece of iron.
Yeah, a cool thing that we saw last week also was the Medding family used to pull with the Outlaws in the 5.0 Pro class. And seeing Dad get all excited when Colin got into the finals. That was cool to see. The camera was right there and caught his excitement when he got excited and was pumping his fist in the air. That was cool. Conley, of course, kind of cool because the first time he went down the track on a pro stock was at Wisner, Nebraska several years ago. And here he is getting into the finals at Louisville. So cool to see that happen. John Lake, there he is, checking in. So, hey, we will supply Spill Wrangler for Outlaw also. John, call me, man.
There we go. There we go.
You call or an email or a message on Messenger. Just, heck yeah.
Yeah. Well, it did its job all farm show long, and it was on full display because they were using it a lot down there. But no, good story for John Link. Good to see everything going on with that.
There we go. Case was at the San Antonio Stock Show and Rodeo. There you go. Wasn't a motorsports event, but it was a rodeo. So we'll forgive you for that. Rodeo's okay. All right. Full Party HQ said watching Outlaw and drinking the Claw.
It doesn't have a bad Ron. I'm not a big fan of the seltzer beers or whatever they are, but that one's got a good ring to it. That might be something that we roll with a little bit.
Okay, Kay said they put the dirt in the Frost Bank Center in San Antonio for the stock show. Oh, cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Chris Kilbarger says blue tractor with a deer motor raised some eyebrows. Yeah. Just because you're looking at sheet metal, I don't think there was Fendt sheet metal under that Fendt track or Fendt power underneath that Fendt sheet metal either. Sometimes you get a red motor in a green tractor and a green motor in a red tractor. It just you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, and we try not to get too caught up in that. And it's always been strange to me and Ron, you know, we're door slammers. We like the four-wheel drive trucks and really even the two-wheel drive trucks too. And it's funny the way like that does not matter to like the truck guys. Because like at the end of the day, you know, every last one of them for the most part's got a Hemi in it. And yet the Ford fans will cheer for the Fords and the Chevys cheer for the Chevys. And, you know, the Mopar cheers for the Mopar. But we know they're all running the same power plant. And like it doesn't matter. But on the tractor side, it's a much more fans get much more divisive about that. To us, I try not to get too caught up in it. To me, it's a highly modified pulling billet block motor. You know, I mean, they're patterned after this, out of the other. You know, put some blue on it, put whatever you want on it. You know, that Virginian was a beautiful tractor. You know.
Yeah, and you know, you get into aftermarket when you start talking about aftermarket. Billet blocks and billet heads and completely different designs that, you know, you take the Sonny Leonard motor. There very well may have been strong parts of all three of the big three
Sure.
manufacturers incorporated in that design somewhere or close to it. They used to call it the Chevy Hemi. Some of the Ford guys will say, well, that's a Hemi head. It's closer to a Ford Boss Hemi. And then Chrysler's, hey, we started the Hemi, so you wouldn't even have it if it wasn't for us. So, you know, you get in the aftermarket, man, there ain't a whole lot that's actually Chevy, Ford.
Right. So, and it just seems like you don't hear those words, you know, thrown around as much with the truck guys and the tractor guys. It does seem like it's a bigger issue. I don't know. Maybe they're more brand loyal than we are, but at the end of the day, it's all pulling. And if it's a hard runner and it's good looking, I like it.
So, Mike, did you download some pictures to try to stump Dan? Did you want to?
You know, I got some Dan pictures, but yeah, I will throw them. I'll throw them at you. You want me to kind of we flipped through. That was a fun kind of side quest that we were on this weekend. Is flipping through the old magazines that you brought out, looking at some of your really cool pictures that you had taken back in. Is it Tees Valley? Am I saying that right? Or Tees Valley?
Yeah, Tees Valley,
back in Ohio. So. Yeah, I was really trying to dig deep to try to stump him here. I'll try to stump you tonight, and then maybe I'll see what else I can find. So, Ron, this side, you know, I've got faith in you. I think you're going to do well with this.
All right.
This was taken at Indy Super Pull, probably in the mid to late 70s.
Yeah, that's Bruce Hutcherson.
Comes out no big deal whatsoever. I thought with the single motor that would be kind of tricky. Nope, that's Bruce Hutcherson and one of his original Making Bacon right there.
The late great Bruce.
Okay, we'll go. This one, I would encourage you to look at the person because the vehicle is not going to help you, in my opinion. Here, these are all courtesy of the Puller magazine, mid 1980s. So these are not my personal collection photos.
Oh, Jim Brockman.
That's a good guess. You're in the right eventual class. So this is not the class. This mini rod is not where this guy pulled. He ended up later on in the same class, pulled heavily against Jim Brockman.
I give up.
This is Wayne Roush.
Wayne Roush. Hide that one. We want to throw that up there for Dan. I'm sure he'll get it. Looks like he's running a small block with a single carburetor on it there.
He said that he started in garden tractors and mini rods before he then went out and kind of commissioned top to bottom. Of course, he was a college professor, you know,
at the Ohio State University. That's right.
And then he kind of built the little red truck. And then I don't remember what he called the yellow one, but he had the yellow T-bucket as well. All right. Next, we're going to move away from vehicles and just give you pictures of drivers. Now, you might find this next one pretty easy because you were with me all weekend and I wouldn't quit talking about it. So here's our next one.
Oh, that would be the Florida Cracker himself, Chris Holdorf.
You got it right there. You just tell by the look on the girl's face that there's some tomfoolery going on right there. Everything,
he probably said something that wasn't expected.
Yeah, everything that you need to know about this guy's persona, I think, is wrapped up in this picture right there. So yeah, that's Chris Holdorf. Now, the next one should be fun. Did not pull at the farm show this year, but last year, farm show competitors.
Oh, boy.
This is from the awards banquet of 1985, where they received their Puller of the Year in their respected class. One tractor, two people.
One tractor. What class?
Pro stock.
Okay. Is this our friends from Texas?
Nope. I think they're from Ohio. I'm not sure.
Let's see. Can Alan Wicklund answer here? He says
Alan is correct. Yep, Alan is spot on. Yep. Yep, that would be the Linder brothers.
He's jumping in there. He says the Linder brothers.
Yep. Yeah, Chris was a wild man. And the last one, I'm not even going to come close to stumping you. It was going to be a bit of outlaw trivia, and I was going to lead with the question, see if see if Dan knew. But there's no point in even putting this last one up here. It's someone I talk about every chance that I get, and I advocate for their Hall of Fame bid. But the winningest four-wheel drive truck in Outlaw Championship history. That was going to be the next one I was going to show, but that's going to be bread and butter for you.
Ken Poffin, yeah.
No. So there's your Milky Way right there. So tried to take a different route. Took some people. Took some older vehicles. Good job with Bruce Hutcherson. I mean, you didn't miss a beat on that. That would have taken me a long time, but because I only saw him in the multi-engine mod that he had much later on. That would not have been one I would have recognized.
Chris Kilbarger, Chris talking about Chris Holdorf being a wild man. Probably the funniest thing I ever saw on a tractor pull on TV, and you can still find it on YouTube. Go back and watch the old TNT pulls, the indoor pulls on the Winter Series, was him calling Ken Lamont a turd on ESPN, or maybe it was the Nashville Network, and it was Butch Krieger that was interviewing him, and you could tell Butch was just as surprised.
Yeah.
And it made it through the editing room floor, and it actually ended up on the broadcast where he said something to the effect that he asked him if he thought his run would hold up, and he said, probably not. He said, Lamont will probably get past me, the turd. And I was like, I heard that, and I laughed my tail off at that.
I was watching one in that same, these older ones, and they were interviewing him at Toma, and he was upset. He was mad. He was getting his butt kicked. And I think the Walshes were actually winning that day. And they'd had like the 5,800 pound at noon, and they were going to run the 6,200s, because they had two-wheel drive classes back then later on that night. And the interviewer, and it was Army Armstrong or Doc Riley, it was, a well-established interviewer, asked him kind of seriously, what adjustments are you going to do to get past the Walshes tonight? And Ron, there's really only one dirty word in pulling, and as serious and as grumpy as all get out, Chris said, he goes, I'm just going to go fill the fuel tank full of nitromethane and quit messing around with these guys. And nitromethane is the kind of the dirty word in the pulling, but the crowd started laughing, and the interviewer was like, couldn't tell if he was being serious or not because he said it so deadpan. But he wasn't happy when he wasn't winning.
Yeah, he was a character for sure. Yeah. I mean, he was, John Force was a character with NHRA drag racing, and Chris Holdorf definitely was a character that probably kept some people watching,
Yeah,
it's kind of cool to have all those different personalities, and even those wild guys like that. People enjoy seeing that kind of stuff. So, I didn't get any pictures ready. I didn't inform you that Dan wasn't coming on, but Mike. But we'll try to stump him next week.
I looked through all my personal ones, and I didn't find any that I felt would stump him. So I had to start getting creative and flipping through some of my other sources here. So I have to go back through. Maybe we'll be lucky and Dan didn't watch the show and I can recycle those. Of course, all our fans know it now, and they deserve some new content. So we'll see what we can find before he comes on next week. But he's tough to stump, Ron. He's seen about all of them.
We stumped him last year with an old Dan Patrick picture from like 1974, 75 when he had a single engine tractor. So he is hard to stump. There's no doubt. I mean, I've just out of the blue said, who won the Ohio State Fair 1985 in whichever class? And he's like, and he'll tell you who did it. So who the winner was. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Memory like that. So. Let's see. Anyone had? Yeah, that was different. The station wagon was Tara station wagon was interesting for sure. So yeah, we can talk about TPC more next week as more information starts coming out about that. As all those California friends are coming to the Midwest to pull on some really tight tracks. They're not used to those great tracks out there, Mike. They're a little.
Well, I look for the modified four-wheel drive truck guys because that's what they did 2 years ago. We didn't have the mod four-wheelers at TPC last year. 2 years ago, John Bohr and his buddies came out and they actually changed gear ratio in the rear end between Friday night and Saturday night sessions because they were just floored. But I bet that they're going to understand it a little bit better, kind of like prepping for Louisville. You go find your lowest set of gears and put those in because, these tracks in the Midwest, they're going to bite a lot harder than the tracks that they have out west. Of course, you're going down to Florida where, do you still see back in the day, talking to 80s and 90s, Florida was known as a really tough place to hook up because of all the sand and everything. You've watched pulling down there a little bit over the past couple years. Is it still that way, or are the tracks kind of getting more similar to what we see in the Midwest?
I can't speak for Zellwood. I have not been to Zellwood yet. I know Satsuma, the gentleman owns that track. It's also a dirt track for racing. He's a dirt guy. He's a dirt contractor, and he built that track with clay in it and hauled a lot of dirt in to build that track. So it's a pretty good track for Florida. Zellwood, I haven't been there yet, so I'm not sure. I have been to Ocala. That track was very loose, a lot of sand in that track, but Satsuma, a pretty decent track for Florida.
Yeah, so that's interesting. That's cool to know. That's one of those you'd always kind of heard, and you can even watch some of those old videos where they talk about it being so sandy down there. But yeah, the California guys are going to have to make an adjustment, especially those mods, and they're bringing a bunch of them now. Massetti bringing the whip. That is, if I understand it, the old chassis to the old twisted whip. So in a way, Donald Nelson will kind of have four, family of mods. Everything that he's kind of had his finger on there will be there. So that'll be kind of another fun story to look at the Pullers Championship as well.
The 4-1 Remedy change owners. Where did the Remedy go, Mike?
The 4-1 version of it, like Jason's one that went kabloom and Wisner 2 or 3 years ago. This one of those I'd like to say I could answer. I like he's told me before, but that's not something that I've discussed with him in a long time. Ever since he went to the Diesel Superstock, the 4-1 kind of went off my radar. Is it? I don't know. Ron, is it somewhere in Wisconsin, Eastern Iowa, Northern Illinois?
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Tony bought it. I'm not sure.
That sounds right. Yeah, that sounds right. There were some pieces of it in Wisner at one point.
Some souvenirs.
Yeah, there we go. That's a good word for it.
Some souvenirs.
Yeah.
So, Mark Ulmer says it's in the Creston, Iowa area. Oh, no. Amanda Stern says, pretty sure Tony's daughter's hot farm is. So that could be true. I feel like it went to Tony.
That is sounding right.
Allie McDonald, I think, is her name. So that sounds right. You know what? I seen this too. I thought this would be super cool. The Californian coming out of California with Brant Sullivan tuned motors on it, and the Kentuckian. Wouldn't that be cool to see the Kentuckian against the Californian?
Now you want to talk about, we were talking about marketable people, and in a much different way, because I think Brant is less of a fiery, less of a divisive individual. But Brant Sullivan, I feel, is one of those pullers that you could put in front of a camera and people would gravitate towards him. I think that he has the cool factor. I think he has the it factor. I think he gives a great interview. Something about him oozes horsepower and entertainment. So Brant Sullivan is one of those that I think could be, like a Chris Holdorf, but maybe a little less controversial. Just a cool dude out there, just making power. I've heard some rumors that keep your eyes peeled. You never know where you might see Brant Sullivan this summer or where he might be up to. So it'd be fun to see what they're going to come out
to Rock Valley and Wisner and maybe Texas, who knows, but I keep hearing talk about it, but they don't show up. So, I know things happen, but it would be cool to see them come out in the Midwest and compete a little bit. Michael Cozy said they have the 1206 remedy. Okay.
Yeah, the Hot Farm or whatever it was before they went to the 401. That was a pretty tractor. That was a good-looking tractor.
All right. So next week we're going to be talking about we're going to have the announcer show on. We're going to have Miles and Dan come on and Leslie, if we can get Leslie on as well. We'll put the invite out to all three, try to get all three announcers on the show. Of course, we're going to try to stump Dan next week as well. And of course, we'll continue talking about TPC. We'll continue talking about upcoming pulls coming up, not only with the Outlaws, but the NTPA and wherever some outlaw pullers might be going, say the Mid-America Truck Show as well as Zellwood and Satsuma, Florida. Tanner Fitzsimmons talking about rookies.
Yeah.
Going to the farm show. Marty says, will we see Jason Schultz back in Ravenna? I do not know. I don't even think we're having diesel supers in Ravenna this year. So, but never say never. Never say never. Times are changing. Tanner says he was.
Yep. He was at Rock Valley. I think he's trying to say that that Brant Sullivan was at Rock Valley last year.
Oh, but they didn't bring the Melanasio tractor is what I meant. Thought they were going to bring
right.
the Melanasio tractor.
Brant brought his two-wheeler, and no, that's where I met him. Cool dude, stand-up guy.
I stand corrected. He did bring the two-wheeler out there, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think he actually was picking it up, right? Okay. So
I don't remember what it was. I know what I learned was, and it's why I'm curious to see what's going to happen in 2026, is that him and Cole Zijek are pretty good buddies.
Yep.
And didn't Brant hurt his truck really, really bad at Rock Valley. Wasn't going to be able to drive Friday night, but didn't he drive Cole or Whitey's truck or something on Saturday night? I think they basically said, like, you came from even farther than we did. We want to see you drive. I'm just saying, I would keep your eye open for Brant Sullivan this summer. You might not know when or where or what he might be in, but
so going back to Kilbarger here, where he said it didn't pan out, but I'm getting a text here, and I actually saw it on there earlier that they both were in there. Kentucky and is in at TPC as the NTPA champion.
Right, so not in fan vote, so he was an at-large bid. Yeah, so he was already. That's right. That's something to keep in mind. You've got your at-large bids that already made it in as your champions. So we will have Californian versus Kentuckian. Ron, what's the coolest pulling vehicle to have a state name on the side of it? We talked about the Virginian, and of course there was like the Tennessean modified four-wheel drive truck and the Oklahoma Showdown. That got talked about a lot this weekend with Derek Brown pulling. What's the coolest?
You want to say the most famous or my favorite?
Your favorite. What is your?
I want to say the super modified Dodge four-wheel drive called the Tennessee Stud.
The Tennessee Stud. Was that the one where it had
black and gold? Had
the back kicked all the way out. Yep, I kind of know the one you're talking about. That was cool. That's something I think they should bring back. I like that. The Missouri Gambler, the Missouri Raider. Those were. Or just the Tennessean or the Oklahoman, those were fun names. Well, the Texas two-step, Cole Zijek right there, So
if Tanner said Brant did drive on Saturday.
That's what I was thinking.
I was thinking back to Whitewright, I think. Was it last year when the Sullivans brought the two-wheel drive? Brant met him there to pick up the two-wheel drive, and he debuted it at Whitewright. That's what I was thinking.
Okay.
So.
But no, Tanner, on your comment, I want to go back to Tanner really quick right here, Macon County, Missouri. Just great job, buddy. Young man out there, 16 years old. He told me point blank, said, I'm fighting the nerves, hadn't driven it a lot. And Ron, anything can happen. And I think everyone was kind of like, oh, what could happen? And what happened was a solid A to B pass, nothing to hang your hat on. I thought Tanner did a very clean job out there at a tough track.
No, great job, Tanner. And, before you know it, all that stuff's going to be second nature to you. driving that truck. So Chris Kilbarger, of course,
he's done it at Louisville. He'd do it anywhere now.
Yeah, no kidding. Makes it to Louisville. That's cool. Chris Kilbarger picking up all the Ohio trucks, of course, the winner of the two-wheel drive class finals on Saturday night. Good looking truck.
Cool truck.
Then going back to John Heilman's Ohio Gold.
Oh, sure. That's a good comment. Good call right there. That was a fun one.
He was a good dude. John Heilman, very nice guy.
Yeah.
Met him a couple times there. So, folks, that's going to be it. Hard to believe we can sit here and BS about truck and tractor pulling for an hour and not get bored. But, the only thing missing is a few barley pops. No beer drinking here tonight, but
wobble pops. I heard a guy the other day call them wobble pops, and I decided I really like those. Get a couple wobble pops in.
Wobble pops.
Yeah.
All right, folks, tune in next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central Time for Outlawed Live, the announcer show, bringing on the announcers from the 2026 National Farm Machinery Show. Mike, good night to you, my friend. Thanks for being here. My name is Ron Stone. Thank you to every one of you Outlaw Pulling fans out there at Outlaw Nation tuning in. You're what makes the sport great. We'll see you next Tuesday night at 7.